Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. In a recent interview, Mark Hamill just dissed Rian Johnson quietly. Man, oh man, I'm so gratified that we are not the crazy ones that hate the sequel trilogy, especially The Last Jedi, which decisively kind of ruined Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill has always hinted something about Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, the love for them that he has. Literally said that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are the best thing for Star Wars right now in a recent interview with The Hollywood Reporter.
Hello there.
Hello there, my guys. Welcome to Star Wars Comics, where today we're going to discuss, of course, the infamous Mark Hamill, who is back in the news. In this interview, the guy not only destroyed The Last Jedi, but put Rian Johnson on notice. So let's go immediately into the interview, and we're going to talk later about what does this all mean. So it's this article from The Hollywood Reporter. It literally just came out yesterday, and he talks about his whole career, of course, his voiceover thing, but eventually we come, of course, to Star Wars. Now here's exactly what Mark Hamill said, and you will notice as he's speaking, he's very detailed as to what he says. So the interviewer kind of went on asking about the de-aged version of Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, which Mark Hamill, of course, took part in, even in the Book of Boba Fett episode with Luke and Grogu. And Mark, of course, doesn't disappoint with his answer. He says, "The reason I did The Mandalorian was that Luke had a beginning and an end, but there was no middle. It was like making a trilogy about James Bond as a young boy who first became aware of the Secret Service and wanted to be part of it. Part 2 was him training to be an agent," meaning he's talking about, of course, Empire Strikes Back is part 2, and part 3 is earning his license to kill, the end. So the end of the original trilogy. No From Russia with Love, Dr. No, or Goldfinger, you never got to see Luke as a master Jedi at the peak of his powers. He was the most idealistic character in that series. Listen to what he says here. I'm just going to pause for a second. He said he was the most idealistic character about Luke Skywalker. This is a direct hint at what his gripe was, what he hated about The Last Jedi, is that Luke was kind of shown to be a depressing hermit who wasn't the original Luke Skywalker we grew up with. So, of course, Mark Hamill continues. He said he was someone who would take adversity and double down and come back and counter his setbacks. He continues, "We didn't see any of that. So when I got the chance, I thought, geez, this is wonderful. I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, boy, do they get Star Wars. They get it. They're speaking the same language that George did in a way that I questioned in the sequels." I mean, holy smokes, this is just coming right off the press. Red hot. Mark Hamill completely annihilated not only Rian Johnson. Did you hear what he said in the ending here? He said that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni understand, similar to George, they understand Star Wars, which is the thing I questioned in the sequels. So he completely dismantled the sequel trilogy together with Rian Johnson, which The Last Jedi was the movie that he was involved with the most. The Force Awakens, he only appeared at the end, and The Last Jedi, he just had a cameo as a Force ghost. So he's mostly speaking, when he says sequels, he's bashing the whole sequel trilogy, but he's bashing mostly The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson and how he questioned his leadership. So here you go, fans. We're not the crazy ones anymore. You can't go in the comments and tell me that you hate Star Wars and you hate the new Star Wars. We don't. Here you have Luke Skywalker himself. Here you have Mark Hamill coming out and telling us that the sequels sucked, and that now, at the hands of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni with The Mandalorian and Grogu, I really hope that movie hits the stride and hits at least $1 billion, because I know that right now Star Wars and Marvel are not at their peak. So $1 billion. Imagine Mandalorian and Grogu crushing Fantastic Four and Superman, even getting into DC territory. Imagine Mandalorian and Grogu crushing those movies in the box office. That would solidify Star Wars as being back, and I think it would solidify the fact that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, with the endorsement of Mark Hamill, Star Wars is back, and it would signal to the board of Disney and CEO Bob Iger that Kathleen Kennedy's time is over. It should be Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau that should take the president mantle at Lucasfilm. There is no doubt already in anybody's mind, and even Mark Hamill coming out and saying this shows a lot. This is why we've constantly hammered down in my videos. I've made so many videos talking about where is young Luke Skywalker? Where is the Jedi Master that we know and love, that we've read in the books, in the comics, in legends, in canon? Luke Skywalker only appears in paper form. We've never seen Luke in the silver screen. We've talked about 3D animated version of Luke Skywalker post Return of the Jedi. Anything that would give us a visual representation, a TV show, a series, a movie, anything that shows what Luke Skywalker really became after Return of the Jedi. This way, I hate the fact that Mark Hamill could realistically die. He is up there in age. He is in his 70s. Mark Hamill could die and not watch Luke Skywalker be the true Jedi that even Mark Hamill envisioned him to be. In his words, the most idealistic character in that series, someone that took adversity and doubled down, came back and countered with his setbacks. There has never practically been a Jedi like that. The closest was Obi-Wan. Through adversity, he doubled down also and came back, and at the end of the day, he became more powerful than anybody could have ever imagined. Obi-Wan and Luke, perhaps even Qui-Gon, are right up there. Naturally, of course, talking about this, Mark Hamill could no longer perform his duties. I think he has washed his hands from Star Wars anymore, and I don't think he'll be coming back. So this is why we need to talk about a recast and probably Ahsoka Season 2 as a hint. If Andor Season 2 is any indication, Bail Organa has already been recast. Jimmy Smits is no longer being Bail Organa in the Star Wars universe. Not comparing him to Luke Skywalker, he has a smaller role when it comes to Star Wars in comparison with, of course, Luke Skywalker. But at the end of the day, what we saw in the Book of Boba Fett, what we saw in The Mandalorian, that's not gonna fly in Ahsoka Season 2. Because I think what is going to happen with Ezra Bridger, Harrison Dula, and the New Republic in general is that they're in dire need of Jedi Knights to protect them against Thrawn and against the Dathomirian zombie invasion that they are about to experience. So, of course, it makes no logical sense. It makes no sense whatsoever if they actually play coy and tell us that, yeah, Luke Skywalker is somewhere in the galaxy during these events, but he's not involved. It just doesn't make any freaking sense. Therefore, of course, we have to conclude Luke Skywalker will be in Ahsoka Season 2, but they're keeping it quiet as of now. Do it! Since nothing has been officially leaked, since nothing has been officially confirmed about Luke Skywalker, I am pretty much assuming as of right now that in Ahsoka Season 2, Luke Skywalker will have a brief cameo with a recast of Sebastian Stan. Ever since we talked about it a couple of months ago, that Sebastian Stan has the stamp of approval by Mark Hamill himself. They discussed this in detail, where Sebastian Stan's stunt double talked about it actually, how they talked on set, and that how Sebastian Stan revealed it was in contact with Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill said he wants him to replace him as Luke Skywalker for the recast, but that Lucasfilm hasn't gotten involved really. We did an appeal. We talked to Lucasfilm. I'm going to reveal later on what was said in that video, because I really feel passionate about the fact that Luke Skywalker not only needs to be back officially again, we're tired of not having Luke Skywalker content. This is criminal what's happening. I think that the galaxy deserves Luke Skywalker to be back in his true form, in his physical peak, in his force peak. He needs to be in Ahsoka Season 2, and the reason why there are no leaks and nothing has been, this happened similarly in Mandalorian Season 2. There were no leaks, nothing was said that Luke Skywalker was going to appear at the end of Season 2, but Luke Skywalker did. He did appear, and he crushed it. He was the best of the best, and you saw for the brief second, for a brief moment there, how powerful and how much of a presence Luke Skywalker can actually be in any Star Wars material. He dominates anything he is in, and at the same time, I think that Sebastian Stan would do it justice for sure. He has been busy with Marvel, he has been busy with Thunderbolts, and now presumably with Avengers Doomsday as well. That's why I'm saying saying that his busy schedule might not indicate that he will have, an extensive role like Hayden Christensen has in Ahsoka Season 2, not filming for 6 months of course, but a brief cameo where Luke Skywalker is confirmed to have joined the fight together with Ezra Bridger. And I made videos about this. I fantasize about Ezra Bridger and Luke Skywalker on Dathomir, and what can they see there, what can they feel there. You have the Darth Maul nostalgia involved there as well. It's fantastical if it actually happens. But you have to admit one thing, that if Luke Skywalker doesn't appear in Ahsoka Season 2 with Thrawn and the galaxy in turmoil, this doesn't make sense. Why is then Luke Skywalker building a new Jedi Order? Why isn't he compelled to protect the galaxy against threats like Thrawn, and especially something that he thought he had already wiped out, which was the Empire. The remnant of the Empire is still there, and Luke Skywalker needs to finish the job once again. Unfortunately, we know about the sequels, we know about the First Order. That's nothing new, but at the end of the day, they are kind of rebooting and restarting slowly with these new material after Episode 6, with Mandalorian, with Ahsoka, and of course Mandalorian Grogu. We haven't talked about that. The movie is coming out. Will Luke Skywalker have a cameo in there as well? Luke already knows Grogu. Luke already knows Din Djarin. So it makes total sense that Luke Skywalker could be in Mandalorian and Grogu 2, at the very least in the post-credit scene. This is why I'm saying that Sebastian Stan, for sure, I am 100% convinced that behind the scenes, similar to how they did with Ewan McGregor didn't talk about it openly, but secretly they had, meetings and talked about him coming back as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sebastian Stan should replace Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. This was confirmed also by Mark Hamill, who said so himself.